Good evening. I want to welcome you to the SAC Collab's latest webinar. My name is Michael P. Coleman, and it's great to be with you again tonight. This is the second of a series of live webinars that the SAC Collab is presenting just for you to address many of the needs and concerns that you have as we are weathering a global pandemic. As you know, we're well over a year into this now. And last month, some of you were with us when we addressed anxiety and depression and some of the very serious outcomes to managing that global pandemic. So we decided tonight to take a step back once we did some of that very heavy lifting to take a second and take care of ourselves a little bit. I decided to bring this to you from my favorite sort of self-care corner of my home here. And I want to thank you for taking time away from work, away from your family to be a part of what we're going to do tonight. Our topic, developing healthy self-care routines during COVID-19. Again, we're bringing this to you by way of the SAC Collab. It's an innovative partnership with the Center at Sierra Health Foundation, the County of Sacramento, coming together to address the needs and concerns of a variety of communities who are disproportionately affected by COVID-19, those communities being the Latinx, Black, Asian, and Pacific Islander community, and the Native American community, working together with community partners and individuals to address those very dire concerns that we're facing right now. We also present, the SAC Collab offers healthcare. Free healthcare by way of HearYou.org is being presented for anyone that's a resident of Sacramento County. But the SAC Collab provides a myriad of services, including direct therapy, mental health awareness webinars, just like this one, clinical web talks, and a series of virtual enrichment activities. So again, thank you for taking some time out to be with us here with the SAC Collab. I just want to take care of a few housekeeping items. I mentioned that this is your time, your camera and your microphone is muted, so you don't have to worry about that at all. Kick back, relax, get a snack, pick your favorite beverage, and take advantage of some of the resources that are being afforded that you can avail yourself to by way of this webinar. I want to invite you to use the chat function as much as you can. Make sure you address everyone in that chat function. We'll get to as many of those comments and questions as we possibly can. You also want to take a look at that chat function so that you can take advantage of websites. We'll periodically post information there over the course of the night. So let's get down to it, if you will, if you're ready. Developing healthy self-care routines. I just want to say, and I know you already know this, but self-care couldn't be more important. For me personally, it's been a bit of a journey, not just during COVID-19, but over the course of my life. I remember decades ago now, my kids were young. They're adults now. When they were young and I began to fly, and if you remember, those of you who have flown before, the flight attendant will tell you that if the plane gets into a moment of distress, an oxygen mask is going to pop down, and you're supposed to take that oxygen mask and put it on yourself first before you take care of your loved ones. And when I heard that initially as a very young person, I struggled with that. My instinct was, no, I'm going to take care of my little one first. I got to settle them down, make sure they're okay, and then I'll take care of myself. And then someone that I love and admire and is a mentor to me said to me, she said, Mike, if you don't take care of yourself first, you won't be here to take care of the people that you love and care about. And you talk about an aha moment. I mean, that really woke me up, and that began a journey that led me right to my favorite armchair here every night with candles and tea and all of that. And I've got my own set of techniques, but we're going to learn another whole set of techniques over the course of the night. So feel free to take notes, kick back and relax, and let us do a little work for you. We got a series of speakers here, a couple by way of HearYou.org, a phenomenal keynote speaker that you already know if you were with us during that first webinar, and then a singer, Shaun Munday, that you are not going to be able to believe. I'll tell you all about that in a minute. But let's get started with that first speaker, if you will. His name is Patrick Ma. He's a dermatology physician assistant and a mental health consumer. He's been dealing with depression, suicide ideation, and the associated stigmas attached to that since he was 13 years old. I find that very hard to believe. He faces discrimination for all kinds of things coming from a lower economic social status. For being a gay man, it's embarrassing to me that we still live in a society that would cause him to face discrimination because of that. But hey, that's where we're at. Today, he's a motivational speaker, and I love this. His goal is to shed light on the truth about mental illness, the recovery journey, and how unkind the stigma and discrimination associated with mental health can be. He also tries to touch everybody every time he talks. I can't speak to every time Patrick Ma talks, but every time he's spoken to me, I've been touched. So help me welcome Patrick Ma. Patrick, how you doing?
Hello, everyone. My name is Patrick Ma, and thank you, Michael, for such a kind introduction. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Kind introductions for kind people, Patrick. You're one of those spirits. Every time I talk to you, you've got something to share and you move me. You're going to be talking about those routines and the importance of self-care. So I can't wait to get at it. Just before we get started, how long have you been on that self-care journey? You started facing things at 13. When did you become aware that you had to start taking care of yourself a little bit?
I think it wasn't until I was way into my 20s when I started
Yeah,
developing, the mentality that you need to care for yourself.
yeah.
In a very, it's a third world country. Vietnam is where I'm from, and we were so poor. So, the mindset has always been hustle, 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 so you can get food into your mouth, and a roof over your head. So that has been ingrained in me for a very long time. And not until I arrived to the US, got a stable job, and started going to school and have a little bit of income, that's when I really start to develop self-care. Which
Well, we're in great hands now, Patrick. I'm gonna be quiet. I'm gonna zip it and let you get at it. Teach us some things.
Perfect. Yeah. So I think self-care, is definitely important, especially in this pandemic. As you have known, this pandemic has changed many of us and overwhelmed many of us in ways that we have never imagined before. Um, and why there are such a wonderful momentum, with advertisements and all these self-help and all these podcasts and all these on TV telling us that we need to do self-care. Um, there's also a little bit of a pressure, um, you know, buy these wonderful spa products so you can do self-care the right way. Why don't you start a new exercise routine now that you work at home so you can be healthier? Um, why don't you, buy these nice equipments and, so you can do the exercise that you're supposed to do? Why don't you take an hour for yourself and just do nothing? My question to those suggestions is, what if I can't afford fancy spa products to do self-care the right way? What if I can't afford, the time to do self-care routine, the way that the society or these advertisements telling me to do because I'm a single mom with 2 kids and struggling a full-time job. What if I love my body the way it is, and you are telling me that I need to change my body to be healthier. Why don't we rephrase those suggestions and make it more inclusive and more accessible to more people? Too many people, when looking at self-care, they really think it is a privileged condition or privileged task for those who have the income, the resources, and the means to do it. So self-care doesn't have to be coming from a place of privilege. If you have an extra cash to pay for an extra cup of coffee from Starbucks, and drink coffee from home the rest of the week, that's self-care. If you can spare 15 minutes out of your day to take an uninterrupted bath with no kids yelling and nothing on your mind, that's self-care. And for me, self-care has always been about what works for you. There is no one size fit all when it comes to self-care. And that's a message that I want to reiterate in this podcast. I think I was asked for, how to share my routine in terms of self-care. I have to say my self-care routine is very mainstream. It works for me. Doesn't mean that it works for everybody. But I wake up at 6 a.m. every morning because I have to be at clinic around 8. I am a clinician and caring for others. But like Michael mentioned, you need to care for yourself first before you can care for others. My favorite quote along that line has to be, you cannot pour from an empty cup. If there's nothing to pour out, there's nothing to give. Um, so wake up around 6 a.m. every morning. I make a point, a conscious effort to make my bed every single morning. And now I also want to share a little bit about something about habit. They have done psychological studies to show that in order to make a habit stick, you have to make a conscious effort to do the same single task every single day for 3 weeks before it can become a habit. Otherwise, it will be very hard to stick to it. So I make my bed every morning. I recently got out of a very long relationship, 7 years relationship. Recently purchased my first home that I'm sitting in, and also just started a brand new job, at a very large academic institution as the only dermatology physician assistant in the department. So the pressure is certainly high. So more than ever, self-care is important. So after I wake up, in the morning, and then make my bed, go about my day, go to work and come home, I work out about an hour a day for 5 to 6 days a week. Um, you know, the physical aspect of the working out, exercising is only the cherry on top. I do it because it makes me feel good. I usually joke with my friends that I like to get high for free and I'm too poor, so you gotta get it somehow. And it's through exercising because your brain releases the same chemical that make you feel good when you do shopping or when actually do drugs. As a clinician, I can tell you it releases the same chemical. So dopamine and epinephrine and norepinephrine are the hormones that make you feel good. And when you exercise, those hormones are released and make you feel better about yourself. There's have been days where I come home just dead tired and I don't want to work out. The last thing I want to do. But after my workout, I feel better. And lastly, it has to do with a lot with my intake, nutritional wise. And I would make really large portion meals because I'm a busy guy. And it just helped me to have meals several days ahead of time. I don't have to worry about cooking every single night for dinner. If you have kids, I'm sorry. But for us single guys, you can just make a large portion and either keep it in the fridge or freeze it and have meals for the next couple of days and don't have to worry about it. Also, I would eat out a couple of times a week as a splurge. Like I mentioned, I just purchased my first home, so finances are tight around here. But it doesn't mean that you can do little things that you can afford within your budget to make you feel good, in addition to do everything else that you do for self-care. So I think in closing, the self-care is not one size fit all. It works different for different people. There are various methods. And if it means drinking a glass of wine every now and then, as your clinician, I can tell you it's okay. Everything in moderation. And do what makes you feel good. Do what makes you fill you up so that you can give to others, and most importantly, to take care of yourself.
Patrick, can't thank you enough for sharing those thoughts. I gotta say, I'm gonna trust that when you said if you have kids, I'm sorry, I'm gonna trust that you believe that, but I detected just a tad of sarcasm there. But the overall message, what I got out of that was, several points I really want to appreciate. The no one size fits all was perfect. I was really captivated by your comment about a habit taking 3 weeks, because that's very important. If you know what to do, you got to kind of stick at it for a short period of time until it becomes a habit. And thank you for sharing about the working out and dopamine. I thought it was only me. If I don't get my cardio in, if I don't get my 30 minutes of cardio in every day, I'm a little off. I'm not as sharp. So now I understand that there's a connection between that's beside the physical benefits of exercising.
Yeah, thank you, Michael.
Thanks a lot. Great to see you. We'll see you next time, Patrick.
See you next time.
Next up, we have got a gentleman, and I take great pride in saying he's a friend of mine. Let me tell you about Jeremiah Aha. He's the assistant director for the California-based nonprofit Wellness Together School Mental Health. He's also the Blue Shield of California BlueSky Initiative Liaison. He's a registered associate professional clinical counselor. And I love saying that somebody that's that qualified to do his job is a friend of mine. I get a kick out of that. He has worked with youth and families for 20 years and now helps to lead a team of therapists across the state of California, partnering with school districts and universities to provide additional mental health services on school campuses and online. Jeremiah holds, check this out, a Bachelor's of Science in Leadership from William Jessup University, a Master's of Divinity from Asbury Theological Seminary, and a Master of Arts in Psychology from Brandman University. And some people, I got to tell you this, With my name, it's Coleman. It doesn't tell you a lot. Some people's name kind of gives you a hint of what you're in for. I get an aha moment every time I talk to Jeremiah. Jeremiah, forgive me for the pun. Jeremiah, aha, how you doing, man? Welcome back to the Sac Collab.
MPC, how are you? You know, it's the first time I've heard that joke. It's all good.
I could imagine it's the first time. Thank you for indulging me. I've been waiting to say it for a month, so it's the first time for me. Jeremiah, talk about what you're going to present. This is all so important. Self-care, developing those habits, caring for yourself first. We got a few takeaways already, but talk about your own commitment to self-care. You clearly, before you get into the presentation, your presentation, it clearly is so important to you. Tell us why it's so important to you that we do that.
Absolutely. Well, again, Michael, thanks so much for the invitation to be here. Shout out to Sac Collab and Christine and the team. And I'm just so glad to be here with Rosalind, who'll be speaking right after me. And I'll just share, and again, also Patrick, thank you for sharing, just giving us a peek into your day-to-day on what really works for you. Appreciate you sharing that, hey, this isn't one size, what works for me is going to work for you. So thank you for kind of getting a little bit some personal disclosure to us on what really goes on, from a day-to-day lifestyle for you. My piece, Michael, is going to be really the importance and the why, and really for those that may still feel even on here, as it could be some frontline workers, some resource workers that are here that are thinking, that's great for other people. I need to continue to help. I need to continue to save. I need to continue to really rescue those around me. And so that's really going to be the heart what we're at. And then Roz, one of my teammates on hearyou.org, she's going to go over just a great curated list of ways to implement these healthy habits into your life in order to take care of yourself. So from kindergarten to 12th grade, I went to 12 schools. And usually the question comes up, well, what was your mom or dad in the military? No, they were not. My brother and I lived with some adults that weren't too skilled at resolving conflict, is the most professional way to put that. And so every 9 to 12 months, I was the new kid, one again, at some school campus. And it was difficult. I'm grateful for those experiences now because it has helped shape, where things are at today and the opportunity to help students who are feeling maybe some similar situations here in California and beyond. But there were two very important words that I want to offer all of you. If you're hearing this, if you're seeing this, whether it be tonight or on YouTube later on this link, two words that I did not get a chance to hear very often when I was growing up. And those two words are simply, you matter. You matter. And right now, there's probably 80% of you listening to this going like, oh, this is great. I need to send this to so-and-so. No, stop. This is for you. This is for you, not the person that you already were thinking about texting or already had on your mind that really needs to hear something like this. This is for you. You, the person that maybe you've been bouncing around from house to house. Maybe your hours have been cut at work, or you've lost your job, or you're checking the mailbox every day and that bank account every day for that STEMI check. If you've gone through some relationship problems, if you've been the one that your entire family has depended on to take care of maybe some that have been ill or even some loss that you've experienced due to the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm talking to you, not your spouse, not your partner, not the person in the next room, not your roommate. You matter. You, in fact, are the most irreplaceable resource on planet Earth. More than water, more than diamonds, more than the most expensive substance, precious metal that we can find. You are the most non-renewable resource this planet has to offer. Because here's the deal, there's only ever going to be one Michael Coleman. Only ever going to be one. And that's it. And some of you are like, whew, right? But for real, like, there's only ever going to be just one of him. There's only ever going to be just one of me, just one Roz, just one Patrick, just one Shaun, and that is it. So this is why it is so important. You are all that we have. It is so important for you to take care of yourself because yes, you matter. And that doesn't mean that the others don't, but this is a cry, this is an anthem, this is an invitation for you to realize in the midst of, as Patrick mentioned, pouring out, for you to realize that maybe your cup has been empty for a while and you've just been running on adrenaline. So these next few moments are for you. And I think if anything we've learned over the past year is that today, this very day, this present moment matters. As we've had maybe a very sobering, a very sad, a very tragic reminder of how precious a life is, how precious today is, and just the harsh reality that tomorrow isn't guaranteed. And I'm not going down the spiritual or the supernatural religious realm. I'm just saying these are just facts, right? Like this is the only chance we get. Like this is the one life that you have, I think, right? If we hear different, please let us know in the chat. But this is it. Today matters. This present moment is all that we have. I'm a father of 2 girls. Annabella's 12 and Lucy is 7, and they're cuter than your kids. I promise you that. And almost every day I make a point to tell them, Daddy loves you today. Because today is all that we have. This present moment is all that we have. And we have the ability to make a choice to place a priority on ourselves, to take care of ourselves. Because yes, you, as I mentioned, if you're joining late, you and your life matters. Whoever is hearing this, your story, your circumstances, if you've received rejection after rejection, if this past year, like so many of us, has been just the toughest and most difficult one in our entire lives, you matter. And I'm so glad you made it here tonight, or so glad this link has been sent to you. But something to offer you, something that was said to me a long time ago, actually by a therapist, because good therapists have therapists. And this is the question that he proposed to me some years ago. To share with you, back in 4th and 5th grade, my best friend was named John Hudson, except I didn't call him John. I called him Seahawk, and he called me Sea Dog. And to this day, I have no idea why, but that's just what we called each other. I was 9, 10 years old. That's just what it was. So Seahawk, if you're out there listening, shout out to you. Thank you for your friendship in that short time I was there at that school. But I would do anything for Seahawk. In the same way that you think of your best friend when you were a kid, or even your best friend right now, you would do anything for them. So right now, maybe consider the circumstances that you're in. And just for a moment, because I don't want to bring us too far down, but I definitely want to give us a moment to take a look in the mirror, to give us an honest reflection. These circumstances that you're walking through, the difficulties, the challenges, the exhaustion, the disappointment, the sadness, the anxiety, the depression, all that you're dealing with, and all of the choices that have been made in spite of you, or that you've made, my question for you is this. If your best friend came to you and said, this is what's going on in your life, what would you tell your best friend? What would you tell your best friend if they were dealing with all the things that you were dealing with right now? Because I have a pretty good speculation that you would tell your best friend all these things to do to really just, hey, you need to calm down. You need to kind of shrink back. You need to not be responsible for other people's emergencies. You need to take care of yourself. All those things that you were so good at helping other people. The invitation tonight is to tell that advice, to give that recommendation, that prescription to you. The same thing that you would tell your best friend. So if you're there and you're stuck in a situation, I don't know what to do, and they want me to do this, and I should do that. Shooting on ourselves is never helpful, by the way. That's a whole nother keynote presentation. But when we go through those tough decisions and how we're feeling and the challenges that are in front of us, if your best friend was dealing with that, what would you tell your best friend? Take that advice. Follow that advice. And I hope these last 7-8 minutes or so has given me the ability, we've developed enough rapport, even though I'm just looking at a camera right now. I can't see your faces. I can't see if you're laughing or if you're almost crying or if you have your arms crossed and you're like, when is this going to be over? I don't know what it is, but I will tell you that this comes from a good place. And I'll ask you this question. What makes you so special that you think you're the only one that doesn't have boundaries and limitations like the rest of us? Earthlings. It is okay to not be at your best right now. It's okay to be tired. It's okay to be disappointed. And you, just like all of us, need to take care of yourself. It isn't just us that needs the help. So if you're one of the many great partners of the SAC Collab team and you're here tonight just as a part of your role, hear this for you. All the help that you're pouring out to others, what makes you so special that you don't have the limitations that everybody else does? Because you do, and that's okay. We need you healthy. We need you well. We need you more than ever during this time. And we don't need you helping more and more. In fact, the thing that we need for you to do is to retire your cape. Hang up that cape. The superhero that you think that others want you to be, when if you maybe told some of the challenges that you're going through, some of the loved ones that you might have might say, hey, you don't got to always be here to do this. You need to take care of yourself too. So this is my invitation to you. Take that superhero cape off, because we don't need superheroes right now. If anything, we've seen really behind the curtain of superheroes and what really can happen to seemingly the most invincible of all of us. And if you've gone through some grief and some loss and some tragedy firsthand, our hearts go out to you. And we're glad that you're here. And now more than ever, especially in the challenges that you're facing, just know that we aren't expecting you and requiring you and hoping that you're going to rescue everyone. In fact, what we really need down at the very core is we need a healthy you right now. Because that's how we're going to get through this, us at our very, very best. I'll close with this story. A good friend about 15 years ago, this conversation that I was having on the phone. I remember the phone app. When was the last time you used that? There's an app on your phone. It's the phone app. We were having a live conversation back and forth. And I was going on and on about all these things that I was facing. There was financial hardship. I didn't know how rent was going to get paid in about 2 weeks. I mean, straight up, that's where we were at. I had a newborn. Annabella was less than 6 months old. I was working a couple of jobs. It was my first go around in grad school. And I was turning in all kinds of assignments late. I was on the verge of risking some kind of academic probation, and it was really, really hard. It was late at night, and I was talking to him, and I said, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know where I'm going to go, like how this is all going to get better. And he said, why don't you just quit your job? And I was like, you're not listening to me, man. Like, I need this. Like, I'm making $6.50 an hour. Like, this is embarrassing. Like, I know this is 2007, but still, like, this is rough. Like, I need to do this. Like, you need to quit your job, man. And I was like, I'm not hearing what you're saying. He's like, you need to quit your job as manager of the universe, because you're not very good at it. And so that's an invitation in love for you. If you're trying to take on that role right now and be everyone's superhero, know that it's okay to retire. It's okay to turn in your badge. It's okay to say, you know what? I'm going to need my own help right now. I really need to prioritize my own well-being, my own emotional health right now. And there's opportunities, especially if you're a Sacramento County resident, for you to do that. There is free mental health services, free individual therapy for you, and not just like, hey, you get 2 free sessions, then we're going to charge you $100 a shot, like some of these free, apps, right? No, this is free services for you. So please visit hearyou.org/SACCollab. The SAC Collab team is putting that there in the chat. Really encourage you to step out. We have clinicians that speak many different languages that are culturally responsive, that just maybe highly likely they may speak the language that you do. They may look like you, be from some of the same areas that you're from, and they're tremendous people just waiting to support you. And we get to offer this because of this SAC Collab initiative. So please, I encourage you to head over there for support. We're offering groups, free talks like this. Thanks again so much. And please, we need you to be healthy. I'm going to turn over back to Michael, and please stay tuned for Roz. She's going to give you a lot of practical things to put into place right now. Thanks again.
Jeremiah, can't thank you enough for that. So many takeaways, man. I'm sitting in an office right now. You can't see it. It's decorated with Superman memorabilia. And I'm going to give myself permission. That's a whole presentation by itself. My therapist and I have spent hours talking about that. But I'm going to give myself permission to hang that cape up, man. That was really powerful. Really, really powerful. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Glad to be here, Michael. Thank you.
Great to see you. See you next time.
All right.
I need to introduce to you our next speaker. Jeremiah just mentioned Rosalind Kingsley-Hurst is her name. She's a registered associate marriage and family therapist. She's a mental health specialist too, and program specialist for Wellness Together. And she's a counselor with hearyou.org. Rosalind has worked for years, dedicated her life to working with students and their support systems. She's worked with students and families from a variety of backgrounds, and she's come away with a personal and professional philosophy of sharing the importance of mental health and self-care, both in her community and in everyday life. The focus of the presentation tonight, as I understand it, Rosalind, you're going to talk to us about creating those habits and finding activities that promote self-care in our own lives. First of all, everybody, help me welcome Rosalind Kingsley-Hurst. Rosalind, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for having me, Michael. I hope you're doing well.
I'm doing well. I'm doing even better now than I was at 6:30. This has been an amazing presentation, Rosalind. Talk to us a little bit about why this work is so important to you before you get into the presentation. Clearly it feeds you. You've devoted so much of your life to it. Why is it so important to you?
Absolutely. And I feel like I've gotten really the best intro I could have possibly gotten on all fronts when it comes to my topic. Self-care has definitely been a personal journey for myself, as well as many of the clients I've worked with over the years. And it's an important subject to me because I feel like we are always so focused on our productivity and what we produce for other people. And we very much forget to consider what we need to be fulfilled and to be recharged so that we can provide the things we do provide for other people. Patrick made some really great points in his segment about how we need to be able to care for ourselves to care for other people. And having spent and dedicated my career to mental health, I've definitely gone through different stages of self-care and have come to reflect on the subject a lot. Another great topic or kind of point Patrick made was kind of the hype surrounding self-care. You know, in the media and other sources, we often see, you know, candles and bubble baths and travel and a lot of things that are honestly out of reach. Like, I don't have a bathtub that I can use for a bubble bath. I have a standing shower. It's just the way it is. And so it's very important to understand that self-care looks different for everybody, and it means a lot of different things. And it doesn't have to be this big, showy, Instagram-worthy event to qualify as self-care. And I tend to separate my self-care activities into two different categories. The first helps to provide structure and routine. These are health habits, health conscious habits that we should try and keep in mind in order to keep us healthy and focused, because the things that provide structure really help keep us going, help us feel in control, like we know what we're doing, we have a plan. It's the little things that keep us going. So effort to maintain a healthy sleep schedule, creating a relaxed morning routine, i.e. getting up early enough that you can, you know, get ready, have a good breakfast, not be rushing around. Personal grooming habits, eating at appropriate times, eating healthy foods, not saying that we can't indulge in our goodies every now and then. Exercise when possible and in possible ways. Again, we have a lot of expectations and assumptions about what qualifies as self-care or exercise or health, but that looks different for everybody. If your self-care and exercise is taking a 10-minute walk on your lunch break, that's good. That's a positive step. It's better than not taking a walk. You don't have to be running 2 miles first thing every morning to be able to count that towards your self-care quota. And two self-care habits that I always try and include in every presentation are work and relationship boundaries. As a person in a therapy work sphere, I come into contact with a lot of people who are so focused and committed to giving to other people and providing care. And it's very easy to fall into habits where we are trying our very best to keep providing the services and the support that we do for other people, even if we are stepping over our own boundaries. So work and relationship boundaries for me is being able to say, oh, hey, I'm scheduled from 9 to 3:30. That means if it's 5 p.m. and I get an email that can be answered tomorrow, I should leave it for tomorrow, because right now is one, my unpaid self-care time, and two, I'm not on the clock. So these are appropriate and healthy habits that we can keep in mind to really make sure that we're spending appropriate time on ourselves. That's the first category. And the second category is the fun category. What creates joy in our life? In this category, I list date nights with or without a significant other. This is where I started my self-care journey in my life. Kind of knowing that I have an afternoon or a day where I have no plans, and saying, oh, how will I make this day nice for myself? What do I want to do? Do I want to paint my nails today? Do I want to go and walk around the mall pre-COVID times? Do I want to take myself to the movies or take myself to lunch? Any sort of activity where you can spend time with yourself, pampering yourself. Time with friends and family, time without friends and family, lack of communication and open communication, hobbies, and in general, any activity that creates a rejuvenating effect on you. And to make another point about the open communication and lack of communication, being able to communicate with those people around us in all of our life spheres, whether that's personal, work, or whatever, our voices are the greatest tool we have. And I'm always reminding myself that it is impossible for someone to cross a boundary that you did not set. And that means a lot of different things when it comes to self-care. I very much like to do things for other people, but there's a limit for me. I know when I need time for myself, when I don't want to leave the house, or I don't want to be on the phone because I've been on Zooms all week. It's completely fair for me to say to somebody who's requesting my support, I'm happy to help you and I would love to help you, but I'm available from this time to this time, because I also need time to recharge so that I can be the support that I want to be for those around me. So the takeaways for self-care is, this is your opportunity, as Jeremiah was saying, to really think about you. Spend time and really make a dedicated effort to think about what rejuvenates you. What makes you tired? Where or in what areas of your life do you think you could improve or change things in your favor? We often think that our responsibilities are in the way of things that may improve our situation. But first, we need to challenge our assumptions about our responsibilities. And indeed, make sure that we're following the responsibility of taking care of ourselves. I'm always a very big fan of the oxygen mask analogy in airplanes, because it really is the most logical way to think about it. As a person in, a very caring and healing centered workspace, it rejuvenates me to be in this work, but it also takes energy. And so it makes sense for me to be able to have certain boundaries and rituals that help me be the Rosalind that makes it possible for me to do the work that I do. So I really encourage you all to think about what rejuvenates you and what you need in order to feel good and to keep being the you that you hope to be.
Powerful, powerful presentation, Rosalind. Can't thank you enough for that. Before I let you get away, could you repeat, it bears repeating, the self-care routines don't have to be Instagram worthy. I got chills when you said that, because so many of us are, we're drawn to that social media. So we have something set up and we got to take a picture of the meal or a picture of the vacation. Elaborate on that just for 30 seconds or so, could you? Because I think a lot of
Oh,
people
of
are going to
course.
hear that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Instagram is, one of those time sucks I'm absolutely guilty of. And, we're in a world and a culture now where we connect with each other in this way. So I'm not going to demonize social media because I believe it serves its purpose. But it's very easy to fall into the trap of looking at all these beautiful curated images and believing that what we're doing isn't enough. And, you know, I always just try and remind myself that one, everything on Instagram took work to put together. And two, if this person I'm looking at on Instagram, if her self-care is, you know, waking up at golden hour at 5 a.m. to take beautiful pictures, that's fine. My self-care is, you know, playing Stardew Valley in my pajamas because I don't have work today. That's fine. It's just because I don't take pictures of myself and, you know, I'm not Instagram worthy when playing Stardew Valley doesn't mean it's not rejuvenating in the same way. And so, you know, if part of your self-care routine is making it Instagram worthy, which is also possible, go for it. But also remember that you and your self-care should be first and foremost the most important.
I think you are more than Instagram worthy. Let me say that right now. I also, if you don't mind, I'm going to quote you on my own social media tomorrow. It is impossible to cross a boundary. It is impossible for someone to cross a boundary that you don't set. I love it. I absolutely love that. So I'll be quoting you. I'm going to make sure I spell your name correctly on my own social media tomorrow morning. Thank you very much for that, Rosalind. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a fantastic afternoon, evening so far, and it's not over yet. I've got to introduce you to, I don't have to, I love to, I've been waiting to do this, introduce you to a phenomenal singer. His name is Shaun Munday. He's a one-of-a-kind talent, and I don't say that lightly. He blends soul-drenched vocals with show-stopping bass guitar technique. Shaun captures audiences with a full band sound and plays the bass better than most guitarists play the guitar. He's a graduate of Berklee School of Music in Boston, Massachusetts, where he studied and performed with some of the greatest artists and educators in the industry. Shaun has shared the stage with Corinne Bailey Rae, Andra Day, the late Mary Wilson of the Supremes, blues legend Robert Cray, and reggae royalty Aston Barrett and the Wailers. He released his self-titled debut album in March of 2017 to rave reviews, and I was one of those reviewers. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you Mr. Shaun Munday. How's it going, my friend? How you doing?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm fantastic. To let you guys in on it, I got to chat with Shaun Munday for a feature I wrote on him. Man, I discovered, like I told you that day, your version of Sitting on the Dock of the Bay blew my mind. That's always been a favorite song of mine. And like I told you, that's one of the ones I would just as soon, until I heard your version, I used to say, nobody needs to sing that again. Nobody should touch that. And then you blew it out of the water. So I cannot wait for your presentation today, man.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I also want to share, just before you get started, one of the not that I doubted the word you told me, Shaun. I believed every word you said. But when y'all hear him sing, you're gonna see why this is so surprising to me. I'm talking to this man, and he's telling me about a time when he didn't hear himself as a singer. He saw himself as a bass player, and then he wound up in college, and he was asked to sing. And I think it was a high school talent show. No, you did bass there. He was asked to sing in college. And I had to stop the interview, and I said, wait a minute, with a voice like that, are you telling me that you did not believe you were a singer? He assures me it's true. I have talked enough. Y'all listen to what this man has got for you. Check out this voice, and then come back to me and tell me that you can believe that he didn't know he could sing. Shaun, take it away. Take it away.
Thank you, Michael. Wade in the water, wade in that water, children, you good. Well, it chilled my body, but not my soul. When I went to the water one day to parade, well, my soul got happy and I stayed all day. Wade in the water, wade in that water, children. You gotta wade in that water, yeah. God's gonna trouble the water. God's gonna trouble the water, yeah. God's gonna trouble the water, yeah. God's gonna trouble the water, yeah. Yeah. Well, there is joy in that water, yeah. There is some peace, there's peace in that water, yeah. There is hope, there's hope in that water, yeah. There is a love, 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 love in that water. See, everything that you need is in the water. See, everything that you need is in the water. Everything that you need is in that water. See, in the water. Wade in that water, children, you better wade in that water, yeah. Just step on in, yeah. And let it wash all over you. God's gonna trouble that water, yeah. God's gonna trouble that water. God's gonna trouble that water, yeah. God's gonna trouble that water. Hey, yeah, yeah. There's a sound check. Sound all right?
Sounding good. Wow.
Okay. Thank you. All right, let's do another one. This one's one of mine. It's on my album I put out in 2017. I got a new one coming out later this year, so be on the lookout for that. Thank you guys for having me. It's been a real pleasure to get to listen to all this knowledge and stuff. So thank you so much. Could I be your true love? Could I be your only friend? If you leave me for another, would you say goodbye to me when it ends? Will you remember my name? For these tears that fell on you all in vain. Well, I don't care if you leave and this love never burns again. Will you remember my name? You remember my name. Will you remember my name? Things you said, they still linger in the middle of my mind. When all this hurt can be for nothing, no, no, no. Too many scars I left behind. Now tell me, will you remember my name? For these days that fell from you all in vain. I don't care if you're leaving, this love never burns again. Will you remember my name? Will you remember my name? Will you remember my name? that's it. Thank you.
Shaun, come on now. I'm tempted to ask you to do another one, man. Come on, that was hot. Incredible. And talk about, you mentioned that debut album of yours, 2017. For everybody that just heard that, if you like those two selections, you will love that album. I'm telling you, it is fire, Shaun. That is crazy. Talk about, if you would, tease us a little bit. Tell us about that upcoming album. You told me you hope to have it out before the end of the year. Can you talk about it just for a minute or two?
Yes, sir. I've got a new album coming out end of this year. It'll be my second album. All original songs. I've got some friends and some guest writers on there, so it's going to be I think it's going to be even better than the first one. I think by far. So check out the first one and get ready for the second one.
Well, sir, I don't argue with my guests, but if you do better than that one, I can't even take it. I can't even handle that first one, man. I feel like I was asking myself, where was I since 2017? And I just discovered that a month ago. That first album is crazy. So we will all be looking forward to that follow-up, man.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
For sure. We'll be back in touch. Cannot thank you enough. What a great way to help us in the night. Thanks so much, Shaun. Really appreciate it. And we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you.
Take care. I know you joined me in that. If you like that, Shaun Munday, he's too modest to give you that website. I hope it's in the chat, ShaunMunday.com, and that's Shaun with a U, ShaunMunday.com. Check it out. You can find out all about his recordings. And if you didn't pick it up, that dude is fire. We used to say, back down home, we used to say he put his foot in it, and that's what he just did just now. So we want to thank Shaun Munday and all of our other presenters today, Patrick Ma, Jeremiah Aha, Rosalind Kingsley-Hurst, wrapped it all up with Shaun Munday. This has been the latest in the SAC Collabs webinars. Once again, we want to thank you for taking that time out. Again, SAC Collab committed to bringing you resources and information, especially for those communities that are disproportionately affected by COVID-19, the Latinx, African-American, Asian Pacific Islander, and Native communities. We also want to thank all of our generous sponsors. We've got the folks at HearYou.org. We've got the Sierra Health Foundation. We've got Sacramento County Public Health. We've got Mental Health California, who of course helped make this possible. I mentioned HearYou.org. I want to state again, HearYou.org offers free mental health services to Sacramento County residents only. So if you live in Sacramento County, go to HearYou.org and find out about all of that. I absolutely need to thank our production team tonight. Dwight Brown taking care of it on the producing end. Thank you, sir. Elizabeth Robert is co-producer, and she also moderated the chat. Christine Smith was backing those two individuals up. And oh, by the way, in her spare time, she's the CEO of Mental Health California. Christine, all my love and best to you. My name again, Michael P. Coleman. I cannot thank you enough. I know how busy you are and how many commitments you got on your plate that you took an hour out to spend it with us here at the SAC Collab. Really means a lot to me and to all of us. So thank you very much. Michael P. Coleman, until next time, inviting you to please take good care of yourself. And while you're at it, take good care of somebody else. Bye-bye.